It is no secret that I adore my garage. Not only is it a great place to store my mopeds, I also got lots of tools laying around that I can use to do some mechanical work outside of my apartment. I even installed a photovoltaic off-grid system during a previous project, so that I can work here during the night. The only thing missing is a proper security system, for which I already created a bright blue stroboscope light during a previous project video, which you should definitely watch. So to end this garage odyssey, I will show you how I combined an infrared light barrier with a modified siren, a reed switch, the already mentioned stroboscope light, and an industrial grade PLC, known as the Controllino, in order to create a truly reliable working security system that will scare off intruders easily. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by Controllino. To start off, let's talk about the hardware setup. The heart of the system should be programmable and feature some inputs and outputs. So my obvious first choice was of course an Arduino microcontroller. But then the company Controllino contacted me and offered me one of their Controllino products, which are software open source PLCs with Arduino compatibility. PLC stands for Programmable Logic Controller, which can basically do all the tasks a microcontroller can do. But in addition, they fulfill useful standards, like safety requirements or the international standard for programmable controllers, while also being tested in more demanding environments and featuring ESD, overloads and overvoltage protection. In a nutshell, the Controllino Maxi that I received is built for industrial applications, which means that in combination with a decent distribution box, it will survive forever in my garage. But nevertheless, the inputs for my Controllino will be a reed switch and an infrared light barrier. The reed switch contacts only close when a magnet is near them. So I will be mounting this switch on the inside of the garage door and position the activation magnet on the outside. If someone wants to enter who has a key, he knows where to move the magnet in order to activate the reed switch and thus deactivate the security system. But if the magnet is not in position, the alarm system is active, which brings me to the other inputs, this infrared light barrier. After opening up both modules, we can see that we got one transmitter, built mainly around a 5x5 timer that turns on/off an infrared LED at a frequency of 562 Hz, and one receiver built around another IR LED and a discrete circuitry, which is probably used to only react to the received frequency of 562 Hz. By selecting normally closed on the receiver boards and powering both modules with 12 volts, we can see that the output of the receiver switch contact is obviously closed, unless of course something is interrupting the infrared light transfer. If that happens and the magnet is not in place, we know we got an intruder, and thus the Controllino will activate the two outputs of the security system, which are a siren and a stroboscope light. The siren I got for this project is this insanely loud 100 watt one, which even comes with a controller. Only problem was that the controller came with all the electronics necessary to create the sounds, and the siren itself only contained a speaker with amplifier boards based around the CS8622E 25 watt Class D audio amp. But since I had no interest in automating the controller switches, I got rid of it completely and instead created a small police siren oscillator based around two 5x5 timer ICs like it is shown in this schematic. Now I will not go into detail here how exactly this circuit works, but you can always watch my 5x5 timer basics video or read the article I found for the circuits, whose link you can find in the video description. And as soon as the circuit was complete, I checked the output voltage with my oscilloscope, which looked acceptable, and then tested the sound generator with a small speaker, which also worked beautifully. So to finish the siren modification, I hot glued the circuit on the inside of the lids, reverse engineered the amp circuit a bit in order to find out how to activate the board and where to hook up the audio signal, and then wired everything together and closed it all up in order to perform one last test with the siren. Now regarding the stroboscope light electronics, I had a problem with the oversized boost converter, for which I found a smaller 200 watt replacement. The only remaining challenge was how to switch on/off such 100 watt loads with the Controllino. Even though it already comes with beefed up outputs that deliver 2 amps at 12 volts, it is not enough yet. But luckily we also got 9 relay contacts that can handle up to 6 amps, which is enough for our intended application. So as soon as my wiring diagram was complete, I started mounting the components and began with the light barrier, which I secured on the right and left wall around 1.5 meter above the ground. After then gluing the reed switch to the garage door, I brought in the remaining components for the electrical wiring, from which I firstly used M20 installation conduits as well as the fitting pipe clamps. So what I did was measuring out the required lengths for the conduits, marking holes for the clamps, which should be spaced 10 cm away from the next component or wall and feature a distance of around 50 cm to one another, drilling the holes and then securing the clamps in place through their integrated wall plugs and screws. After then marking the required lengths onto the conduits, I used a handsaw to create them and push them into position. I basically repeated this conduit mounting procedure all around the garage, like it is shown in this hopefully easy to decipher hand-drawn 3D image. And after I conquered the biggest conduit length from the front of the garage to the back by simply joining 2 of them together, it was time for me to mark mounting holes for the boost converter distribution box, as well as the distribution box for the Controllino and the siren. After then performing the usual ritual of drilling, hammering and screwing, the components were in place, and all that was left to do was to add some custom sized pipes between all of them for the soon to happen wiring. Before that though, I mounted the last pipe coming from the front of the garage, and then grabbed some thin 2-wire and 4-wire cable and some thicker 1.5 square millimeter solid wire. As you would expect, according to my previously shown wiring diagram, I hooked up the thin 2-wire and 4-wire cables to the reed switch as well as the light barriers, and then led the cables through the pipes to my Controllino in the back, to which I also hooked them up. Next, I connected the 12 volts and ground output of my solar system to the N and PE bus of my distribution box, and wired them up to the Controllino and all the output components, which were also hooked up through the ground side to the Controllino relays. And with that step being completed, the hardware was basically done, which brings me to the software parts. To program the Controllino, we can use a graphical programming software, like Visuino or Logi.cat, which is close to what is also used in the industry. But sadly, those programming environments do not come for free, so instead I decided to go with the Arduino IDE, for which I only had to download and install the Controllino boards as well as its library. The code I created for my security system was very simple and nothing special, and works just like I described it earlier, with the addition that the outputs will be active for only around 5 minutes if there are no more interruptions of the light barrier. and as soon as the code was complete, I clicked upload, which apparently worked, and thus started testing the system. As you can see, everything functions without a problem. And since I still got tons of unused inputs and outputs on my Controllino, this Garage Odyssey might not be over yet. But what do you think should be installed in my garage next? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hitting the notification bell. Stay creative, and I will see you next time!